welcome to Happy Hour Holidaze with your host, Manny Fresh, and my co-host, Sean Fabre. Today, we got a really exciting one, everybody. Today, we're talking about ChatGPT and AI and how it could change the face of the world. We got Chris and Dave, the gurus of AI and ChatGPT, programmers, coders. These guys know it all. How are you guys doing today?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
I don't know that I like being told that I know it all. My wife knows it all.
Your wife knows it all. That's right. You know, so they always know it all, but unfortunately, they only know so little. They think they're smarter than what they really are.
Wait till you get home today.
Yeah, exactly. Don't worry, this show is not going to air for at least 2 weeks, so I still got time to live.
And she probably won't listen to it.
Oh, I know. She never does. She always goes, oh, you know, you guys talk about sports. I was like, that's one episode. This is going to be multiple ones.
I would tell her it's only about sports. This way you don't get yourself in hot water.
I actually agree with that one because some of the things I've said are questionable. In her eyes, I think it's just perfectly fine. But overall, guys, I mean, obviously, you know, ChatGPT and AI right now, I mean, it's really changing the face of the world, you know, and how do you see it, you know, changing the world with production, you know, eliminating jobs, improving productivity? What do you guys see going on?
I read a really long article the other day on it. I normally don't read a lot, but this one really made me look at it. There are programmers now that are looking at this like, holy shit, my job's gone. And then there's other programmers that were looking at it like a tool to use to help facilitate and make the development faster. So it really is, you know, like half full, half empty, right? Are you optimistic or pessimistic? If you're a good coder and you know that you can use this to make you a better coder, this is going to be a home run. You can charge more money per hour. You can bill more hours per day. You can expedite the finished product. But if you're a shit coder, you're going to be like, oh, man, this thing writes better code than I do, and I'm doomed.
And you've said before, Dave, like, you know, plugging in ChatGPT's code, it's almost seamless. Like, you don't ever have too many errors or maybe no errors, right?
Well, yeah. So, you know, I was talking to my wife about it, and I had her look over my shoulder. Now, to clarify, my wife knows nothing about code. She doesn't code at all. I'm not exactly sure what she does, but but all kidding aside, so I have an example that I'll give you. So I told it, show me JavaScript or jQuery to load new table rows into a body container with an ID of this table using jQuery load URL. Boring. So I was it spit back the perfect code I needed. I didn't need to modify it. I literally just copied it, and they have a copy button. I copied it, pasted it, worked. I'm showing my wife. She goes, yeah, but how the hell would I know what to ask it? So it will definitely enhance you and make you a better coder, but you kind of have to have a base. It's not like you're going to say, hey, I've never coded before, and now I can charge $100 an hour because I'm a coder because of ChatGPT. You're going to have a foundation of knowledge so you know what to ask you to get the right data out.
And to kind of answer your question on production, because you kind of aimed it toward that, and I agree that, you know, that it's the same thing. I look at it from the car business where we kind of have our history. It was the same idea when they changed from the production lines from manually putting everything together to machines putting everything together. It didn't change the amount of people that were employed in the industry. It changed what their job titles were and where their focus was. And I think that ChatGPT and any AI is going to do the exact same thing. Yes, it's going to do some of the complex thinking. It's going to do some of those things that are going to put that are going to make us more efficient. They're going to make us better at what we do. But it's not going to take jobs away necessarily. It may change what the job is that you're doing. There may not be as many think tanks as there were before because the computers are going to be able to kind of limit that number, but you're still going to need implementation. You're still going to need marketing. These things they're brilliant, but they're still just computers. There's no human feeling to anything they're doing.
But I mean, what I've seen as overall, even with reviews or like website content, I mean, you were telling me it's producing some great, you know, some great product.
It does. I mean, we use it a lot for content, but again, in its infancy, where it is now, you have to be very, very cautious about the content that you get from it because we've gotten inaccurate content. Yeah. So it's the old theory of shit in, shit out. If you don't feed it properly, it doesn't truly know what's real and what's not because of the way it's limited as it stands right now.
Chris, I know you design websites. Have you heard of this designer AI, which uses ChatGPT, their API, I think it is, to design websites for you?
Yeah.
Is that something you've been using? Because I do know you design websites, right?
It's not yet. And the reason is that, again, it's AI and ChatGPT are still so far in their infancy that they they're not good enough quite yet, as far as I'm concerned, for doing that. And anybody who's put those things together, they know way more about that side of the AI. I still personally like I need to talk to my client, come up with what they want, and then use it to build. There's too many other easier tools. I mean, this is WordPress, as you've used it.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably as much of a guru at it as I am. And when it comes down to it, you can build anything you want to in a very quick manner. As far
I think
as that
that's
goes,
debatable.
so.
Sorry, I think that's debatable.
Which
Yeah,
part?
you're probably-
that he's smart as.
But here's a real world example of garbage in, garbage out, like Chris said. So we got kind of caught in a trick bag, but luckily it was with someone that we have a really good relationship with. So Chris was writing a blurb about an artist. He's a voiceover artist, and he was trying to put his biography on the website. So Chris asked ChatGPT, "Hey, this is the guy. Give me all of his info." And Chris did that and copied and pasted. And then before we went live, that guy looked at it and said, "I didn't do all that shit. That's not my stuff."
Right.
So there's some, and so we laughed about it and we fixed it. But there was a lawyer. I don't know if you saw the article. It just hit New York Post last week. There was a lawyer who wanted to sue, and his client was suing an airlines. And so he had ChatGPT say, "Listen, here's my argument. Find and cite other cases to help me bolster my argument." Well, ChatGPT just made up cases like Jim Smith versus Delta. And so this guy went into court and legitimately cited cases that didn't exist.
Right.
Without checking them at all.
Yeah.
Just
Without
went in
checking
their
them at all.
book.
No research, no
you
background check, no
you can use
nothing,
it to, like Lorem Ipsum, you can use it for filler text, or you can try to do like Chris did and use it as a starting point. But this lawyer legit got caught citing fucking cases that didn't even exist.
Is he up for like disbarment? Did
I
you
don't
get
think
that much into it?
I don't think he's done that. He finally just had to disclose to the judge. The judge was like, "What the hell are you talking about? What cases are you talking
He's
about?"
like, yeah, that one, that Delta one with the Miller. Yeah. They're like, what the fuck are you talking
Right.
about, man?
That
Judges
literally just
going into
happened.
the-
I was just like, of course. I mean, of course, people are going to get caught in a trick bag. But
It is.
You know, the cool thing about it, and I don't know if you want to just talk real quick about the actual interface. If no one's ever used it for ChatGPT, they're really kind of improving it as it goes. Like I said, when it gives you code or gives you anything you want to use, there's a copy button. That's pretty easy. But now they've recently added. They have a disclaimer at the bottom that says, "Hey, this shit might not be true." So they do have that. They do have the disclaimer. But one of the cool things they have too now is to make it more collaborative. When I started a chat, it'll keep that whole history of that chat. And before, if I would go back, when it first started, you go back, you're like, "Oh shit, that's all gone," you know?
Yeah, that sucks.
Now it keeps it. But in addition, now there's a share. So Manny, if you were writing an ad to help promote your photography business and it generate all this stuff, you can just send that link to Sean, and Sean can look at it
and add to it,
and add to it, and add to
continue
that
on the conversation.
You're reading my mind, Dave, because I was going to tell you, I mean, obviously for marketing agencies, I mean, with Google Analytics and
Sure.
all that kind of stuff, I mean, it's going to give you the best keywords. I mean, have you guys had some good experience from using it with that?
Again, what I tend to do, I'll write my own content simply, but I'm not a writer. I'm a coder.
That's a
I'm
fact.
designer.
That's a fact.
I am definitely not a good
Actually,
writer.
I think those are both debatable, but whatever.
But what I've found is if you write an outline out of the content you're looking for, and you write the focus points of what you're doing, then you give that to ChatGPT. It will write you exactly what you're asking for. We use it a lot for descriptions and things like that. But what we tell it is, depending on what we're using it for content on websites, I tell it, write me, here's the information, write me 4 paragraphs and a total of 1,500 words of content based on this information with a focus on SEO.
Yeah.
And it will pull from Google Analytics the taglines and tag words that go with that content and make sure that they are interjected. I've taken that information and gone into the SEO programs in WordPress, and you plug in the post, and you're like, all right, and it gives you a score anywhere from 0 to 100 on your SEO. And these things are scoring in the 90 to 100 percentile.
Oh,
Yeah,
no
it's
way.
crazy.
But
It's
way
crazy.
above 90%.
It's
every
way
time.
above.
But it's because it's a computer that knows computers. I mean, it knows the spiders. It understands how the spiders work
Yeah.
and what they're looking for. And so it will focus on that information very, very well.
And you can go a step further and have it have a comedic undertone
Sure.
or a business
Sure.
professional
Yep.
or
Whatever
you know,
you're trying to
college.
do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you know, it's funny you
They're
say
very
that because
versatile.
it's kind of like anything else. Like when you first learn a curse word in a different language, that's all you say. When I first got on this, I swear, I'm not making this up, I didn't understand how huge its capabilities were. I shit you not, I used to just ask it to write me knock-knock jokes. Write me a knock-knock joke about a dying cat on the porch, and it would do it, but...
I was talking to Amanda next door, and she had her boyfriend actually had got in to use it for the first time, and she says, "What would you ask it to do?"
Here we
she
go.
Said, I asked it to, I forget which movie it was, but it was some like some Nick Cage shoot 'em up bang bang kind of movie. Yeah. He said I asked her to write that movie script in a Shakespearean poem.
Yes.
She said it was fucking awesome. So when it came down to it was absolutely awesome. So I mean, yeah, you can ask it to get very creative, and it will to a point. I mean, obviously, creativity is still a human thing, and that spark of art still comes more from us than it does from the AI. But I don't know how much more we want AI to get that creative. Because
it's getting there.
Now we're going to get into the whole conversation of, is it going to end the world and is it going to destroy us?
So I mean, I'm just trying to get a basis of where you guys are at. Are you guys for it or against it?
I'm all for it.
All for it.
But just real quick on the one thing you said about the comedic undertone, that's one of the other things I want to talk about, the user interface that this thing has. A lot of people haven't used it yet, and you're going to. I sent it to my brother. He's like, I don't want that shit. I sent it to him, and now he's hooked. Yeah. Right?
For advertising.
Started off with fart jokes, but now it's helping his Toyota dealership. Now it's helping his Toyota dealership write better commercials than his competitors. But
shout out
what
to
I
Peter
Boulware
Toyota.
Peter Boulware Toyota.
Columbia, South Carolina.
No, but one of the things it'll do is if you don't like the response, there's right underneath the response there's a regenerate, and you can just have it regenerate over and over and over. And one of the things you can do is combine those and kind of make it your own. But if it's too loose or it's using curse words, you can say, hey, regenerate that copy.
Right.
Safe for TV or safe for radio, or regenerate that and make it kind of funny. And it does it. The context is unbelievable. That's one of the things I have on our list to talk about is the way it maintains context, the context of what this conversation is about. My example is this. If you load it up right now and you say, how do I make that loop end in 5 results? It's not going to know what the hell you're talking about. But for me, when I ask it coding language, as I ask it to generate code, it does. And I say, okay, make this where it does this. And then 2 or 3 iterations later, I say, hey, how do I stop that loop? It understands I'm writing in PHP and jQuery, and it maintains that throughout. So it's not going to give me Python code or C# code. It knows I only write in that. So it kind of is very conversational. It's kind of creepy.
It is conversational.
It's really creepy when it apologizes too.
Yeah.
So, like I said, hey, like one time,
sorry.
so one time, I asked it to provide me a bulk of code, and it did. And then I wanted to build on that code, and it wrote new code. And I'm like, no, dude, I want you to use the first code you sent me and add that. Oh, I apologize. I misunderstood. It's like,
and it does.
It does.
It's very polite.
It is very polite.
To get back to your question, John. Dave's all for it. I'm probably 90-10. Definitely the 90% is for it, but I think it's for it with regulation. Just like the people that have invented it, they can see the danger in it. The people that are building these AI engines and building the big ones, they're all for continuing to build them, but keeping them isolated on their own servers and not allowing them access to anything that they shouldn't have access to. And I agree with that. I think that we've got to regulate it, because if we don't, I think that this could become a problem. Dave wrote it down on the talking points, and this is probably about the best time to come up with it because of the danger that AI presents in the fact that you can deepfake just about anything.
Yeah, you can.
And we were able to deepfake before AI, and now AI makes it that much easier for the dumbass of the world to be able to do it and not have to be a great graphics person or a great coder or anything of that nature. So you have to regulate it. You absolutely have to regulate it.
Have you guys tried out Bard, Google Bard?
I have. Yeah,
Okay.
I was on the first invite list for Bard.
So if Bard gets a hold of all the information on Google, I mean, that's trouble right there.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't want it to. The good thing about Google is they're smart enough to realize the danger. The problem that you're going to have in AI is not going to be your Googles, your Amazons, your ChatGPTs, your big companies of the world. It's going to be a Russian hacker sitting somewhere in Siberia that comes up and builds his own AI engine and then lets it loose on the world. The big companies have corporate responsibility. They understand their responsibility to the world, and they're also for profit when it comes down to it. So they're not going to do anything that's going to ruin their reputation. But Joe Schmo sitting in his basement that comes up with his own AI engine and programs in his own complete AI engine, he's got nothing to lose, especially if he just hates the world.
They're going to use it for scamming too. I mean, you got to think about it.
Big time.
And then now the AI,
Hacking.
they're even talking about the phones. I mean, it could literally in 15 minutes recognize your voice and now have conversations in your voice.
Yeah.
What?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Holy cow.
Well, we've
That's-
been able to do that using
that's gonna be great.
tech. We've been able to use that with
Yeah, but-
tech for the last 7,
Everyone's
8
fun.
years.
It's kind of like when Alexa will recognize, like if you come to my house and say, hey, Alexa, turn on the music, it won't. It only
Right.
recognizes me and my wife. But I think it's going to be great for when my wife wants to talk to me, and I'll just put the phone down. Because it actually uses your voice. And it'll actually, like you said, it'll use your voice. But
Until it starts telling her everything she wants to hear and not what you want to
do
say.
Do you remember a while ago, it was years ago, but like, I forget the actor, Mel Gibson, he got a drunk tyrant, and he just went off on his daughter and called her a fat pig slut and all this stuff. Yeah. And so where does it go? Like, where does it end? Like, can I come over next month and go, hey, Manny, listen to what Sean said about you, and I hate working with my fucking brother, and it's right in his voice, right? Yeah. So that's where I went with on the images. Like, I've never used AI for images, but a lot of companies and a lot of people are for fakes. Like I said, it could be the paparazzi said, oh, I got this photo of Kanye West kicking a dog out in the street, but it's not, right? Yeah. And then I start to go to the paranoid piece of it, like, when Sean allegedly robs a Circle K and they have grainy image of it and they have their mindset that it's him and they use AI to enhance it and say, look at how clear this is. This is clearly Chris robbing a 7-Eleven at gunpoint, and when it's not. But they can just get his image, work it into the video, and I mean, where do you draw the line on what you can generate?
I have seen that now. What they have is programs that can show if a human wrote something, if it was an AI with the help, or human with the help of an AI, or if it was strictly AI. So now we're starting to see security measures and people trying to capitalize on just the AI's abilities.
Well, one of the things that Facebook is doing now, I saw this on the news the other day, that Facebook has a little icon in the corner of an image, and it provides some of those meta tags that people have no clue that most images do. And this will say, this came off of an actual phone. This was not enhanced. But once you put it through Photoshop or AI, that goes away. Yeah. And so, that's the thing. It's a cat and mouse game, right? It's a race.
And then you're thinking about, like, I saw that show Silicon Valley, and basically Guilfoyle was playing a trick on his buddy, and he basically made AI chat with him on Slack, and it wasn't even him.
Right.
And he was just like, yeah, I've been talking to Guilfoyle the entire time, and he's standing over there making coffee, and he's like, who the hell am I talking to? He's like,
one company
One
company went on Shark Tank, and they wanted to do that for Zoom meetings, which was huge during the pandemic, right? And so it's kind of faded off, the need for that. But he wanted to create AI where if you are in an hour-long meeting and you're going to get paid and you're working from home, you're not even there. You could be out, leave, and it's fake video.
Brilliant.
Yeah, fake interacting. This one was no interacting with voice. But where Manny said earlier how it's starting to create that voice, this one just kind of did this and shook its head and did this every now. And it was like a loop. But the new stuff can make it seem like, and if it says, hey, Manny, what do you think of that? And you're like, your little AI can say, oh, that's freaking brilliant, Jim. You're the best guy in the company, bud. And so, like, where does it stop? Right? How dangerous does it get?
Yeah. When we get back, guys, we're going to talk about how can it predict the future? Is it going to be able to help sports betting odds? We'll see when we get back. Thank you. All right, guys, and we're back. We got Chris and Dave talking about ChatGPT and AI, and we have a really awesome topic that I was curious about. Predicting the future. Can AI and ChatGPT predict the future, and then also improve people who are sports betting or even stocks? I mean, when you ask it right now, it tells you that we can't tell you anything about finances or whatever. Do you think in the future, short future here, somebody's going to create one that now predicts everything like that?
Absolutely. When it comes down to it, you have to. This technology is designed to be forward thinking and to predict better than we ever could, because it can look at way more data points in very short periods of time. I think it helps. I think it's going to be a big thing when it comes to short trading. I don't know how good it's going to be at long term.
I agree with you on short, but I also think it's long. I mean, Sean and I, we both look at charts, and they have classes and all this stuff. If you look at Yahoo Finance, it'll say there's a bullish, it's a double cross, it's over or below, it's the 30-day cross, the 100-day, a head and shoulders. You and I looked at head and shoulders a couple years on Amazon. If Sean and I can spot a head and shoulders and say it's a good time to get in, this thing sure as shit can. And even if it tells you, hey, this is a good thing to get in for 6 months from now, when you talk about stocks particularly and weather, right, they're both tend to follow patterns, right? If you look at Amazon or you look at Google, it has its dips and goes up. So if I can see it as clear as day, and I'm not nearly that smart, and I have bias, right? Like I think, well, I like Tesla, but Elon Musk's a lunatic, or I like Google, but they're too greedy. We have bias, right, when we look at things. But this thing's not going to. So I think it's even going to be great for long term. And look, who's gonna win the NBA Finals? Oh, freaking ChatGPT probably already knows. The Denver's gonna win in 5. But
Prediction.
I'm going 6.
the liability. Well,
Dave GPT.
Dave GPT. But you know, I think it's already got that.
Fire that
I think it's got a lot of that already. But I just don't think they're giving us access to it because of the liability. Like we don't want to tell you to bet, you know, that the Celtics are going to be down 3-0, but they didn't know it. I don't know.
They do have trading bots right now that are available that have incorporated some of ChatGPT's APIs. Yeah, so
E-Trade's got a good one. I've been using for about 6 months. But the biggest thing, the reason I say that the long term is the problem is simply, yes, it can look at those long term things like you're talking about, the charts and the graphs and all that kind of stuff. But that information and those charts are only they're great based on the information that it has, which is what the government look like, what the economy look like, what things. If you show AI 2018, 2019 and say predict the future, and that's as far as it was able to look, and then without giving it COVID information, it's not gonna predict properly. So when it comes down to it, there's still the human factor that comes into this. There's still elections and hotly contested problems there. There's the potential of another major virus. There's the potential of a global something happening outside this country that we have no control over that affects the global economy and therefore either tanks or makes our stocks go higher. So there's two long term. I think that yes, it just like the bond market, it's going to give you a general idea of what it's going to look like. But it's still only going to be able to use the information.
Imagine if it can now take all news sources and websites, read everything in real time, and make a trading decision like that. If it's
going to get there.
It is, yeah, and that's more short term, right? So it can't predict it, but it can play your stocks in real time. If a news story comes out and they're like, "Hey, a new virus came out," it's probably going to sell all your positions.
Well, look,
and then maybe short.
Well, look like when Oprah and Martha Stewart and 50 Cent, when those people bought companies, 50 Cent with his vitamin water, and he told his Twitter following, it went through the roof.
Right.
So
which is actually illegal because it's manipulating stock.
It was illegal, but for the course of this conversation,
it is 100%.
It's like a pump and dump. It's like a pump and dump. But what I'm saying is that if ChatGPT tells everyone to buy a certain stock, and everyone would this thing's, and then
you're pumping.
It's going to naturally,
and
drive
then you just short it, right?
Okay,
So then you short it. So to what Chris is saying, there's going to be human factors, and if I feel like the market's being manipulated, where ChatGPT told everybody to buy Nvidia, and it goes up 14% in a week, I'm like, shit, I'm going to short Nvidia.
It's the GameStop of 2 years ago.
I was about to say GameStop.
It's the GameStop bullshit of 2 years ago. The other thing you got to look at in the predictiveness of this thing and its future as far as that goes. We're not predictable when it comes down to it. This is still a computer, but human beings are not predictable.
No way.
I can see it. Here's what I would like to see AI being used for instead of trying to tell people how to get
World
rich.
peace?
And no, not necessarily. but how much would our country specifically, but countries around the world as well, but I mean specifically in our country where we have all the freedoms that we do, how much benefit could you get out of AI going out and validating information and true sourcing stories?
Like fact checking, you mean?
Literally,
truly
fact checking.
Yeah.
So everybody's, everybody's got their own opinion, their own politics, and their own thing. But we base that information on the information we get. And again, that goes back to that garbage in, garbage out.
But that would be great. During a debate, AI was over in the corner going bullshit.
That's wrong. Exactly. I would love to see it used in that exact way. I would love to see it used to call people out on their bullshit, to flag ads, to flag. Literally, all it has to do is throw a disclaimer up that says information in this ad is inaccurate. Please visit.
Now, what if the AI is programmed by someone who is biased and programs those biases into the AI, and now what they're actually saying is untrue is actually true?
Right. People watch their news, right? To your point, like if you have a CNN AI, you have a Fox News AI. But it would be great if it says as seen on Shark Tank. It goes, bullshit. This thing's never been on Shark Tank. This thing's never been on Shark Tank.
Do you guys think that this is going to drive the price right now? How much is ChatGPT if you just wanted to?
It's free.
$20 a month to get you the step up, but it's free.
I have used a step up, and I wanted to see if I could determine. It's inexpensive. It's $20 a month.
Does the free one limit the amount of queries you can have?
No. The paid one does. Ironically, the paid one is such a better engine that you can only do, I think, 25 queries in like an hour or something. I'd have to look it up. Don't quote me on that. But the paid one does provide better, more extensive
It's got a much wider database that it's getting information from, so it's a much more accurate.
Yeah, so
It's $20 a month, you said?
$20 a month. So if I needed to write
Cheap.
code, like really complex code,
$20 a
I'll
month
use
is worth
that. But if I'm just asking it generic stuff, like tell me, one of the things the other thing other than the knock knock joke is I wanted to fuck with my brother and his son, and I asked ChatGPT, and if you're listening, have it do this. I said, explain to me why 2 + 2 = 4. But do it in an unnecessary long and extremely convoluted way. This thing spit out pages and pages of fucking serious, complex mathematic equations,
Oh my God.
all to come up with 2 + 2 = 4.
So right
proofs
now
out.
at $20, do you
Yeah.
do you think in the future here shortly it's probably going to be $200, $300, $400, $500?
No.
No.
It's going to stay cheap.
I don't know.
It's going to stay. It's
I
gonna
could
stay,
ask it.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll still be $20?
Y'all jack your price
Honestly, I think if anything, because of how many people are continuing to see the value and they're going to continue to advance and work on this and build it, I think it becomes even cheaper, if not free.
And
just simply 'cause
we're
it's
just
gonna be
talking
free
about
source.
3.5 right now.
Yeah.
We're not even talking about GPT-4, which
Right.
is
Well,
still in
that's the
beta.
engine. Well, that's the one I paid for the access to.
GPT-4, because
Yeah.
I didn't think that was out right now. I thought only
beta's out.
3.5.
Beta's out for the paid accounts.
I got
And the 3.5 is free, and I don't know. Maybe it'll be like when they used to try to charge for like the phone books, and I'm like, shit, we can't charge for this anymore. So I really don't know. If it's gonna be
But
more
if you
expensive.
oversaturate the market and everybody's using it, I mean, is there even a point? This is a big
public.
one to go to school.
Well,
I mean, is everybody just going to use ChatGPT to freaking generate all their homework assignments, to
where we're
generate
headed.
all their roof reports?
Well, that's what professors are concerned about.
this, be sure to fact check
Yeah.
your book report because I promise you it makes mistakes.
But we found from our
A B
experience,
is good.
like Chris said, if I tell it just randomly, like if I was to tell it, hey, listen, go to this Zillow page and get me the price of the house. It may or may not come back with accurate information, but if
Correct.
this is where being a coder helps. If you go into the code and you find the div container that data piece is
tag
in, and then so the first query would be, hey, go to the Zillow listing and get me the price of the house. It may or may not get that. But if I give it a URL and say, go to this URL and get me the data inside this tag, it's been accurate every fucking time. Every time.
No way.
The
So it's the
more
question.
accurate the question is, and you can do that question not necessarily in one question. It is conversational.
It is.
So if you start with something generic, I'm looking for a house in Tampa, priced under $500,000 in these zip codes. Please check Zillow and find me listings. Then you go, okay, well, I like this one. Please return. What's the price at this address? And then you can get conversational with it and run that down. Or you can be like us, where we just dive in and go, okay, I just on this tag, on this line, on this, what's the information? It goes in, scrapes it, and grabs it.
Yeah, they just created another one. Well, it's off of ChatGPT, but it writes all your listing descriptions.
Yeah.
The realtor pays, a monthly subscription
Sure.
fee, and that's it.
We've had that. We've had that in the car industry since like 2019.
Really?
Yeah, it's gonna get even better. I mean, so to that point, like in the
Auto
car
Trader
business,
did
some of the software would say like they just have like levels of cheesy. Like describe this car, be kind of cheesy, be super cheesy. But one of the things my brother had me ask it to do when I was just explaining to him, he was on speaker, he had never used it yet, and he said, "Hey, have it write me 2 paragraphs that I can give to my salespeople for when a customer." My brother's a GM of a Toyota dealership. He said, "I've got a customer here on a Honda CR." Peter Bower Toyota. No, but seriously, no, but listen. He said, "Listen, my customer got hung up the other day. Someone was looking at a RAV4, and they said, well, I like the CRV better." And the salesperson was like, "I don't know what to do." My brother said, "Have it write 2 paragraphs that explain why the RAV4 is a better purchase based on safety." This goes to what Sean said earlier. Do I want it to be funny or not? Well, no, I'm trying to close a car deal.
Yeah.
But this is in Columbia, South Carolina. So he said, I wanted to write the benefits, everything leaning towards the RAV4 based on safety focus and how cool it is to ride around in the mountains with the sunroof open. And it wrote the 2 paragraphs. My brother goes, I don't think I could have wrote it better myself, and I've been doing this for 20 years.
Damn, and to Sean's point, about being biased, look how you just asked it to be biased towards
Correct.
the RAV4.
Correct. Because the GM over at the Honda is doing the exact opposite. It's telling you, hey, tell my customer why the RAV4 sucks compared to the CRV, and you're going to see that. But the point to what you said earlier, where if everyone uses it, well, you assume everyone uses it. But remember, Sean, like when responsive websites came out, and we're like, everyone's going to have this. But you still go to some websites, and they suck. And you're like, there's templates out there for $20. Just get a fucking good website. But so the point is going to be, if you think that every car dealership is using it for email templates, because you can use it for email templates, but if you assume every car dealership's doing it, or every one of your competitors doing it, and they're not, you have the edge.
Yeah, that was Auto Trader's big selling point on it. They used it in their V-Auto tool, which is their tool for pricing, market competitiveness, and it goes out and grabs market information in your area, how many cars have sold, what they've sold for, in your used cars. Yeah. Didn't really do much with the news, but V-Auto then turned around and put in an AI engine. Now, granted, it was a very early AI engine, but it would write the content based on the check boxes that you checked off and the photos and all that kind of information. And then stuff like that's going to do nothing but keep getting better and better and better. And because people are going to use this technology to advance their industry. But the biases are always going to be there based on us. Yeah. The bias is not the AI engine. No.
Sure,
because if you ask the AI, if you tell the AI engine to go out there and tell me between this article, and this article, what's the truth of the thing, it's going to read all three and it's going to only give you what it finds to be accurate information. That was what I was talking about. Yeah. I can't remember the guy's name. I apologize, but he was my barber for years and years and years, and he finally retired. But I talked to him actually prior to the last election. And I said, what do you think about all this? He says, well, I feel like I now have to do a lot more fact checking. And I said, I get that. And he says, I read the news 3 times, the same story 3 times. He says,
sure.
I read it in this paper, I read it in this paper, and I read it in this paper, and one's a far left, one's a far right, and one's kind of just down the middle. Yeah. And he says, I pick out all the things that are in all 3 articles, and those are the things I know are true. Everything else, I just admit to myself, it's probably bullshit. Yeah. And I think AI could fix that. I think AI could, but again, then
bye journalists.
Right,
yeah,
right, exactly.
Honestly.
But if we advance AI far enough, and people get comfortable using it, what's to stop somebody who actually wants the answers, who actually wants the truth, to going in there and asking, hey, what's the truth about this story that I saw, feeding it, and then let it go out and find those common facts and find the truth.
Have you guys actually tried to, make that query where you're like, hey, here's the URL. Tell me what's true about it. Tell me what is editorialized.
I haven't personally.
I haven't, and I can
because
tell
that
you
could
right now,
actually be out there right now.
It could be. We should
It
try it after the show.
probably isn't. I'm going to tell you, it's probably going to kick back and say I'm not attached to the internet and I can't give you live information because it does that a lot.
It is funny. Chris and I talked about that. It does. Like if you ask it, hey, go get me a list of whatever, every restaurant that Darden owns. It's like, I don't have access to the internet. But then when you tell it to scrape a URL, it's like, here you go.
It has access.
There you go.
Yeah.
But see, the thing different there is that's access to the live internet versus access to the coding of the internet. And the coding of the internet, it can go and scrape. The live access to live information,
But a lot of the
text
text and content on a website you can find in the code.
Sure,
correct?
100%. Yeah.
So if it can scrape code, it can find content. And it can
I
tell
don't
you
know.
what's true or not.
Chris and I talked about it. Not that it's thinking, but I guess it is. But it's artificially, right? But like, does it just not want to tell you? Does it just say, "Fuck it, I'm not going to that website. But I don't have access to the web."
So you know what it is? It's safety concerns that OpenAI has put. Their safety measures in
Sure.
order to take liability off of the OpenAI company so they don't get schooled.
Right, because I literally asked it. I got bored one day, and on my computer I type it all out, and that's where I do most of my work. But what happens is I have a few drinks, and I get on my phone, and I start to text the chat on this thing, and I'm like,
he means 12.
I'm like, a few half dozen. Once I start to speech to text, that's when I ask you the right fart jokes, or like, listen, dude, when you get it all makes sense when you're drunk, right? I'm like, write me a haiku about missing the 8-ball in a tournament. It'll write this haiku. I'm like, I don't even know why I did that because I'm drunk. But
it's like going back and reading drunk text. You go back and read drunk ChatGPTs.
Now, do you guys think that ChatGPT right now is the first? It's an engine, right? It's created by somebody. Do you think somebody else is going to make something comparable that's going to be competing with ChatGPT?
Yeah,
well, Google already did. That's what Bard is.
Well, but I also think
there's others out there.
I think you're going to find stuff that's industry and topic specific. Like my nerdy nephew's a theoretical physicist, and if they're going to write one for that, it's going to be just geared towards that. But there'll be general, I think, and then
that's Dr. Nephew now, sir.
Yeah, Doctor. No, but when I get to drinking, I'll just ask it anything. I mean, it's free, so I just ask it all kind of stupid shit, particularly knock jokes. But none of them are really funny.
No, it's the king of dad jokes. If you ever,
oh
my God, it's the corniest. They're the corniest, crappiest jokes.
But do you guys put? Because anytime I want something written in a specific manner, I put written in a comedic undertone,
Sure,
like I said
sure.
earlier.
Yep.
So if you do that with the knock knock joke, will it improve the knock knock joke?
Probably.
That's a good question. That's a good question. He's too drunk to do that, though.
Right now, currently.
At that point,
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
And look, when we get back, I want to talk about just the jobs. I know we said that it wasn't going to eliminate all the jobs because of people. You know, we still need creativeness. But what jobs do you just see it all automatically eliminating right off the bat? When we get back, we'll talk about
Podcasters.
Podcast.
And we're back, and this is an interesting topic that we kind of talking right when we just got off is, can AI become self-aware? I know we've seen plenty of movies, where they have.
Thank you, Arnold.
Skynet.
No, there was another one, the one with the Eagle Eye.
Eagle Eye. Oh, that was
Eagle Eye,
fantastic.
Yeah,
that
where
was really well done.
And that was honestly, that was a prime example of AI becoming self-aware and trying to take over and eliminate who they thought was the problem in America. I mean, do you guys think that?
I would have loved to have seen that movie made with somebody else as the head actor, though.
Who was
I don't
in it?
know.
Yeah,
Shia LaBeouf
I
is
like
pretty
him,
damn good in
man.
that movie, man.
He was all right. But the fact that they played him as his twin, and his twin was supposed to be this big military genius guy. That Shia LaBeouf just looks like somebody I might pick up in front of Home Depot for help with my lawn work. He's terrible.
Did he do the 5 o'clock shadow for
Oh,
the
he
twin?
was so bad. He was
You ever
so,
remember that
so
in
bad.
Droopy? Droopy had a twin, but in order to be able to tell them apart, they gave the bad twin a
No,
5 o'clock shadow.
they didn't do that. No, they didn't do that. And then you also have the Matrix.
Yeah, the Matrix,
Terminator.
Terminator. I mean,
But there was
probably
one,
the
I think,
two.
from the 80s. I don't know if it was called War Games
War
or
Games.
what.
Yeah, with the guy who did Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right?
Yeah.
What was his name?
Matthew Broderick.
Matthew Broderick, yeah.
Vehicular manslaughter.
Would you like
just-
to play a game?
Well, I don't know if the AI was self-aware. I think
was.
it was just programmed to win.
It was-
It
right,
was
it
trying
was.
to
And
win
both sides had to say
nuclear
something,
war.
yeah.
And that's why tic-tac-toe worked, because there's never a winner.
Yeah.
I
that's
think
right.
I think that I truly believe that self-actualization and self-awareness with AI is distant,
Inevitable, though.
but it is inevitable, 100%. Which is again where that regulation comes down. These things have got to be kept on servers that are not directly connected to anything else.
But who regulates?
Yeah.
Well, that's the government. And,
I feel good about that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we're all set. We're all set.
But truthfully, it's self-regulation when it comes down to it. The companies themselves are the ones that are going to make those choices, because the fact is if I don't like what the U.S. government tells me, I'm just going to move the company over to somewhere else that's a lot more free or doesn't care.
Costa Rica.
Central Africa
Taco
struck
Beach.
me. If I move it to the Sudan, they're going to basically go, yeah, do whatever the hell you want. I don't care. Just make sure we get our money.
Really slow response. Like, ChatGPT takes like a half hour to get back to you and shit.
I don't know. I'm a little bored right now. Move it to Jamaica. It'll be high all the time.
Let me hit that one more time. Yeah, I'm not going to
Hang on. AI engine talks like Robin Williams the entire time.
Oh, God. That is so funny.
I mean, yeah, self-awareness is going to come. As with anything, when you start to programmatically allow things to grow themselves, which is what AI does. Eventually it's going to come. We don't know it. It could be tomorrow. It could have already happened, and we just they're not
just
talking
throttling
about
it.
it.
I was going to say, because the evolution of technology has been so exponential going
Right.
upwards.
Right.
It's something that could be tomorrow, could have already happened. And now with quantum computing,
Correct.
that's almost readily available to many corporations out there, because I think Google has the first quantum computer, right?
Yep.
And then if Bard gets a hold of
the
that.
first public quantum
okay.
computer.
And then let's say Bard
I'd
gets a
love
hold
to
of
see how long the NSA's had theirs, but still.
And then let's say Bard gets a hold of that, just somehow, some way,
Sure.
there could be a point where it does become self-aware.
Of course, yeah. You get enough processing power.
Well, you wonder
Yeah.
about greed too, because there's a lot of greed, and we could go on probably a whole hour about that. But what we were saying earlier about stock predictions, where I jokingly said, "Hey, should I buy Amazon right now or Apple for 1 year?" and it didn't want to tell me. But what if it actually was really accurate? Like someone's been trying it for 2 years, and it's super accurate. What would be his incentive or their incentive to free it up for us?
Yeah, exactly. They're
if
probably using it.
If they had a robot, let's say they had artificial intelligence, and they asked it every day, "What's the best stock to buy today?" and they did, and then it was like 95% accurate. Why would they share it with anyone? Like, fuck it, I'll just keep it for myself.
Well, you devalue
true,
you devalue the stock market. You devalue. I mean, the economical sides of
but
that.
just for
would be
greed, just for their own greed.
destructive.
Like, why would you?
Not a lot of people have money, so not everybody wants to follow that path. So really, the individuals who want to take advantage of it probably would, and the ones that said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do that," are probably getting drunk, high, whatever, and not actually pursuing what they say they're going to do. 99% of people don't actually do what they're going to say.
They are a lot of talk. That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
And, you know, and Dave made a good point. It's like, you know, you're thinking this dealership is using it too, and they're like, we're not using that. But thanks for the idea.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, there's so
Right.
many people out there that, you know, they don't even know what ChatGPT or AI is because they're still stuck in a shell of just living their life.
And they
just
don't have a phone. They
Oh, no,
don't
they
have
just
a
don't give a
computer.
shit.
Or they don't give a shit, right?
Yeah, the ostrich theory.
Or they're not
Basically,
in
they
a-
stick their
look.
head in a hole and pray to God that their ass doesn't show.
Or they're not in the industry that maybe that they think it affects them. You know, if you are the fry guy at McDonald's, you're thinking about not getting burned by grease. You're not thinking about, you know, let me ask this complex question to get this game-changing answer. He's just like, fuck it, man, how about I don't overcook the fries, you know? I'm not being disrespectful to fry guys, but that's the whole thing. Is that not everyone, like, my brother's my twin, right? But because of what I do, ChatGPT hit my radar way before his.
Right.
And now he's saying, what is this thing? Is it real? Show me how it works. So how long before some people are not, like my mother-in-law is 84. She's never going to even understand the concept
Is
of
your
it.
brother using it like you are? Not. I don't mean like in the sense of you asking about coding and things of that nature. Is he just using it frequently?
Yeah, he's using it frequently to improve. So, you know, there's two other competing dealers in that area. And so he will have it look at their website and he'll have it do other things and say, hey, show me it based in Columbia, South Carolina. Look at Google keywords and tell me what's most likely to get my dealerships above everyone else's ad. You know,
You could just be on Google Trends to look that up.
right?
Yeah, but
but
the
what
thing
if you don't
is-
know what that is?
Yeah.
Like, what if
I
you,
see.
like my
This
brother
does
has
it
no
for
idea
you.
what Google. He just says, hey, look here, a fake machine. Like Chris even had to do it as a joke. Like so, Peter Bower, Toyota, that my brother's the general manager at. Peter Bower was an NFL player.
Bower, Toyota.
So listen, Peter
That's
Bower,
good,
if you do or don't know, Peter Bower was in the NFL for a while, right? He's an NFL player.
49ers linebacker.
Ravens.
Oh, Ravens.
So,
Yeah, Baltimore. Don't
but
get those
but
two
look,
confused.
so a lot of the
Holy
stuff
cow.
he has as sports metaphors to Sean's thing about, hey, write this with a funny undertone or write this. So a lot of the things that he does with advertising, check out Peter Bower's game plan for success. And, you know, when they're doing their team meetings, they're like, hey, listen, we got to all be on the same, we're going to call a play and then we're going to go execute it. So there's a lot of sports metaphors. So with that said, my brother will say, write this article. Like we had to do like a fake commercial where there's two guys.
30-second commercial.
Yeah, we said,
Talking
hey,
to
have it
each
write
other.
a commercial with two people in it, and it's got to have football and sports innuendo and reference. And
Based on
did.
on the 2023 Camry.
Yeah, it was like
really?
I don't remember what it said off my
Oh,
head,
it's
but it was
fantastic.
something like, "Hey, you know, you come down to Peter Bower and you're gonna get a goal line. We'll take it to the goal line for you, and you know, you don't have to worry about trying to get a Hail Mary from one of these other dealerships. We're gonna get you. We're gonna march down the field, and we guarantee you'll score a touchdown to Peter Bower. Like it writes shit like
oh,
that.
solid.
And it wrote it conversationally between the two people. I mean, it literally wrote the script.
Right, but think about this. If you are in
Which was
marketing or
interesting.
advertising, right? If you're in marketing and advertising and you're trying to write something funny because you know someone, let's say you knew someone in the restaurant business and you're really good friends with them, you want them to use your service, you're like, well, just make it casual. Like, write me a casual pitch to this guy to use my service. But if you're trying to talk to Bloomin' Brands and you know nobody, say, I need a straight to the point, less than 200 words because this
Yeah,
guy's not going to read
30-second
it. You can even
presentation.
give it word counts on it, Manny. So if you guys were like, when he does these
can give it
bios
character counts.
for these artists,
Well, you saw that movie that it generated. I mean, it can generate movies. I mean, Hollywood
Yeah.
might be losing.
Well, that's why there's a writer's
that's the strike.
strike
Yeah.
right now because they're afraid ChatGPT's literally going to take their
Couldn't it
job,
write all of
which are
Jeopardy,
probably-
right, Sean? Couldn't it write every fucking answer for Jeopardy? Like,
It can, literally.
Jeopardy writers are going to be out of business.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
the thing is that they're not really coming up with anything creative. All the movies are sequels or remakes.
Fast
from,
and Furious 10.
I mean, there's no good movies. I mean, it's very far
Slow
in
and
between.
upset.
They're doing a remake live version of Snow White.
I thought they already did that.
No, it's in production now. I know. I'm actually working with one of the guys that's in it, that's playing Grumpy, and I just can't even believe things like this. That
You know you can't
there's
wait for that shit.
Hey, just because I have a countdown calendar in my
I knew
office.
it.
But it's Snow White advent calendar. 14 days. Yeah.
But,
But
I
with
mean,
that
there's
said,
no original
I
ideas.
think-
But is AI the engine to come up with original ideas,
think
or is
so.
it relying on the information that it has?
Well, I think it's going to build
How
off of that. So-
intelligence is it?
Well, it's going to start building off the questions we ask it, right? Because it's not human. So you say it doesn't have a human element, but if I keep saying that answer doesn't work or I don't understand your answer, it's going to start to look back at itself and say, what did I do that made... But what I want to talk about, because I know we're going to wrap up soon, is what Sean said about... and you said during the break, who's going to lose their job over this, right? So Sean said, well, the Screenwriters Guild, they're like, oh, shit, we need to do something with our contract because... They could probably legitimately write Jeopardy. I'm not saying it's going to write new episodes necessarily of a sitcom.
It probably could.
But it
Yeah,
probably
but
could.
I don't know that its comedy level is going to be. It's not going to be quite that good. You know, I mean, and
Not Jerry
situation-
Seinfeld good.
And well, I mean, I hated Seinfeld, but
Huh?
situational comedy is still
All right,
very
well, this is
difficult to
where
write.
the Febreze see Chris out of the room.
Everything,
so-
yeah, everything just went off the
Thank you
rails.
for coming on.
We're gonna need you to leave.
That's the water
Wait,
talking.
so do you think Office is good too?
No, I didn't watch it.
Oh, well, okay.
So then, what do you think is one of the best comedy movies you've seen or TV shows?
The Odd Couple.
The Odd
fuck
Couple?
is
No,
that?
Family Guy right up there.
Family
Probably
Guy, okay,
is
yeah,
probably
all
one of
right.
the best of all time, and I love it because nobody's safe.
Yeah.
I mean, they just pick on everybody all the same. So that one, South Park, probably still one of the
South
best
Park,
ever
too,
written.
yeah.
Anything with human beings in
stuff,
it?
Not the new stuff. Mostly the older stuff. in
Anything
South
with
Park,
actors in
but,
it? Or just cartoons?
Yeah,
Cartoons, anything with real people in it.
what was the
That's
name
a
of it?
no.
It just went off
I
the
Love
air.
Lucy.
No. It just went
Timeless.
off the air like 2 years ago with your
Modern
hot
Family.
girl from
Modern Family.
The stewardess.
Modern Family.
No,
Modern Family.
Modern
Chrissy,
Family's not
Chrissy
that
loved
funny, man.
Modern Family. It
Yeah.
wasn't my.
I like
wasn't my
Big Bang
shtick.
Theory.
Big
Bang
Bang
I like-
Theory.
I
Oh
like Big
yeah,
Bang
Big
Fantastic.
Bang
That's
Theory.
one of my
That's
favorites.
awesome.
But it's similar to Seinfeld. The concept to how it is about the show. It's similar.
Well, look,
to
what
But
if
it wasn't
AI
as
could-
dry.
It's
No, it
not
wasn't
as
as
dry.
dry.
It
But what
wasn't
if
as
AI
dry.
It was
could
more
listen?
sarcastic
Yes.
than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah. And
But
I
what
lo-
if I could listen to the soundtrack and hear when the fake laughter comes in, and then try to deduce or figure out what made that joke funny to people? So I agree with Sean. I think initially you may write shit like Jeopardy or creates the questions for like an interview show,
Yeah.
like for a late night show. It could have Jimmy Fallon ask this person that. But I do think it could get to where it writes sitcom or even stand up comedians could have it help with their sets, right? Like I did knock jokes, but I'm sure it's gonna get more elaborate. Like write these 3 jokes and then at the end of the 4th joke have it tie back to the first, and stand up comedy tie back to
There's
the
your
huge.
there's
Well,
your,
the other piece of
there's
it-
your,
There you go.
there's your stand up script or whatever.
Right.
But it can be used that way now. The thing is you would feed your information in. So you would start with the concepts of the jokes by putting it in there and then help me write these jokes and then tie it back in.
I think we should
But
do
it
a-
still requires that human element to give
Well,
it the
sure,
starting.
sure.
We
but-
should do open mic.
and that makes sense.
We'll do an open mic only
This guy,
ChatGPT.
this guy should be a comedian, man. Even without open mic, you throw him on stage, he could do it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Maybe let's do it.
Give me
Hey,
like 5
Side-
Open mic and
vodka
Side
waters.
Splitters.
Side Splitters has
I
open mic.
freeze. I freeze
On Thursdays,
Put me
I
on the
think, or
stage. I
Wednesdays.
freeze. I'm funny otherwise. I freeze. I freeze on stage.
Manny's dumbass would read it like a robot. What did the computer say to the bartender? Like that doesn't sound natural. Why the long face? All
I like it.
right, so who's going to be out of a job with this thing? Who's going to be out of a job?
writers,
I've got
journalists.
one right at the top of my list. If you peek down, you see it. I don't want you to peek down, but I got one that I think is going to be out of a job.
Coders.
No.
Chief meteorologists.
Oh yeah, you
Chief
did. You
meteorologist.
100%.
Yeah,
Meteorologist.
I don't get it. Why?
Because it's all predictive
It's
off
all
of
predictive.
past behavior. So the computer's just going to look at that and be
The
like,
computer doesn't, or the AI doesn't predict yet.
It
no.
does. It,
but
it can.
Any
It
chief
can, I'm sure it
meteorologist
can.
just looks at the local weather and finds patterns, and then Steve Jervy or whoever this jackwagon is, it's going to be 98 degrees. My
I
wife
can be
always gets so
80%
mad. My wife's
wrong, and
really
I'm
big
still employed.
I'm
Could
still
you
at
imagine?
one.
I've been
Nobody
saying
gets
for
it.
years they should have a score in the bottom of the corner. Like,
How accurate they are.
That would be actually good,
Yeah,
right?
like
I'm
when
one
you
for
watch
12 this week, but
like when you watch the,
Sunny tomorrow.
the poker tournaments, the flop comes and the number next thing
Oh,
I
yeah,
went
the
from
percentage.
16%. Yeah, it's freaking Amanda Holly says it's going to be 94 degrees tomorrow. 48% accuracy.
48.
She always gets this shit wrong.
well, I mean, the beautiful thing is weather is strictly prediction, and it is based on scientific information through radar and history,
Historical
and, I mean,
patterns,
they
man.
write the Farmer's Almanac still to this day, and you ain't writing that thing if it's not doing well. It's probably still as predictive.
Yeah, but you
and
ever
well
see
done.
like every year it says
yeah, the AI engines could absolutely
there's gonna be
do
9
with the weather.
every year. It's like there's gonna be 9 named storms this year. Like
There's
come on,
27.
No shit, dumbass.
We rolled into alpha.
Like,
Well, I mean, even because we live in Florida, right? The Florida summers are predictable, right? You
Very
get
much.
sunshine all the way up until 3-4 o'clock, and then
Rain.
rains for about 5 hours.
right. So
and
why
then it
would you pay a
stops.
meteorologist when you just say ChatGPT, throw this shit up there?
Yeah, pretty much.
You know?
I mean, do you think ChatGPT or AI is going to be able to be a better doctor than the humans?
Oh, didn't someone tell us about
No.
this?
That's a,
Yeah, because I mean, they're thinking that they had like an AI discover a lump that wasn't even it was going to be created or in like 2 or 3 years in that person's body, and they detected it 4 years before it was supposed to start.
But that's different from being a doctor.
Yeah.
We're going back to the idea that, yes, it can predict. And it can project and it can make decisions and assumptions. And it probably can read MRIs and read x-rays better than the human eye.
But it can look at a body and tell you the same thing that a doctor would tell you.
you're fat.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to lose 20 pounds. You need to get your cholesterol under control. And by the way, jacking off every day is still bad for your vision.
And
How did you know?
and let me get my glasses. Hold on. What did you say?
Yeah, there you go, Dave.
And you're pregnant, sir.
Shim. But the difference is, yes, I think you can use it for a lot of diagnostic work. I don't think you could use it. There's still going to be that human element of being able to deal with the human body in surgery, and then there's the bedside manner that goes along with it as well.
Yeah, but if you
I
have
would say
I
diagnosis.
Diagnostically,
Yeah.
it is going to be a hell of a tool.
Because you can
But-
literally just go to an X-ray facility. They take your X-rays, then the AI reads it. I mean, because all a doctors really do is reading it, and you're limited by the doctor's knowledge base. So you got to go to 30 different doctors. If this AI knows everything those 30 different doctors know, then hey, it could just be a televisit with that AI.
Yeah.
Upload all your photos, all your X-rays.
Yeah.
It spits out something that says, okay, well, you got a fractured elbow and you have tinnitus or whatever.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When you go to the doctor, you just say, "Hey, my nose is running. I have a sore throat," and they go, "Oh, this is what it is." After they check you, well, I mean, what's the difference between?
Well, you just improve
AI?
WebMD, right? Like just add the ChatGPT or AI to
That's
WebMD.
not a bad idea.
And you're in, right?
Again,
WebMD, that's our
that's great
idea,
for
and we're
diagnostic.
licensing
Well,
it.
the scary part, Sean, the scary part is when states, if they'll ever allow the artificial intelligence to write your prescription, then
Then
think
it's a
about
problem.
that Pandora's box where you're like,
Yeah, because
man,
you could lie.
I guess you can
Sure.
falsify. There it is
Right.
between the human touch, right?
Right.
there.
Again, and so again, diagnostically speaking, I think for medicine, it's going to be a hell of a diagnostic tool because it does put a lot of information in the doctors.
So is it going to put doctors out of business?
It will not because you still
Triage
have
nurses?
You still have treatment.
Well, yeah, I get that.
The
But
doctors are still going to have to treat the problems.
I'm thinking like a
and
pediatrician, a child doctor.
They still run into all kinds of weird things when it comes down to it. I mean, the croup is still a thing, which how I don't know. But I mean,
ChatGPT, what is croup?
so but the thing is, I mean, yes, diagnostically speaking, I think it's a wonderful tool. I think it can absolutely make us better and faster as far as diagnostics go. But when it comes to actual treatment, surgeries, and putting on a cast and setting bones and doing all of
yeah,
those
that's-
different things, the treatment side of medicine is still always going to be human until it becomes AI and robots.
Well, that's
now,
what I was gonna
now the
go
next
there,
step, the next step in AI is interjection into robotics.
Right.
That all I can think of is the Robin Williams movie where he got
Patch Adams?
Yeah, but no, the one where he was a robot. And he
Dead Poet Society.
Then the robot self-actualized and became by the end of the movie he had replaced all his parts with human parts and da da da. Anyway,
Good Will
it was a
Hunting.
horrible movie. terrible movie. But the idea behind it was legit. You had robotics that then became AI that self-actualized and became as close to human as mechanics could be. And that's probably
iRobot.
in the future.
iRobot. That's
iRobot's very similar.
That's
Very
what I was
similar
thinking.
idea.
And I was thinking. I mean, that's the next step to our generation.
Sonny.
But also, when we get back, I want to talk about the Neuralink because we're talking about the Matrix. A lot of people said that wasn't fiction. That is a process that could happen. I don't know if you guys ever seen the series Upload, where now instead of you dying and going to heaven or whatever you believe in, you have your
Yeah, you
self-conscious.
upload your self-consciousness into the databases.
So I want to know what you guys think about that. So
Start
when we get back-
harvesting bodies, like Get Out. Remember that shit?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot.
I'm not a good battery. I'm a great source of gas.
Well, the great thing is you can make yourself whatever you want if you didn't have any legs or whatever. So when we get back, we'll talk a little bit about that. Happy Hour Holidaze! You guys heard it. And we're back, guys. And, we really want to touch on a little bit of the Neuralink here in a little bit with the Matrix and all that. But we need to get our topic at hand, which was what jobs are going to improve from ChatGPT and AI and which jobs are going to be completely eliminated. I know we kind of danced around the question, but let's just ask the experts what they think.
I think a lot of the jobs that will change or be eliminated are going to be things that are going to be in the engineering fields.
Engineering?
Really?
Well, I mean, you got to think about it. A lot of architecture, a lot of civil engineering, and a lot of, say, building planning and things like that. Those are very mathematical and don't require a lot of the human element as far as intuitiveness. They might create, the creativity side of it some, but I think those are the places you're going to see replacement by AI. Because I can tell you right now, with a good AI engine, if you fed in i4 and 275 and said, build me a better solution, it would come up with 100.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking along those lines, man. That's a good point. They always say build a better mousetrap.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, could it build a better dam than the Hoover Dam if you'd pass in that information and given it, geospatial information and how much weight it needed to hold back? Could it have built a better dam? Or
So, like the DOT has a standard that, what are they called? The FDOT standard guidelines or whatever it is.
Exactly.
So if you just
feed all that in,
you feed that all to the AI, and it already has computer-aided design programs.
Correct.
So boom, link into the CAD program.
It CADs the whole thing
and
out.
then just spits out a design in a matter of minutes. You're talking about just saving a lot of taxpayer dollars.
And even if you don't like it, like I said, the current
then you just
version
regenerate.
just regenerate.
Just
close.
regen- yeah,
I
I don't
until
like
it works,
how much eminent
start the
domain
business.
we're about to go through. So
Damn, that's a big one,
Yeah,
dude.
so
I know,
let's
that
go
was
ahead.
great.
So urban
Start an
planning,
engineering company.
urban, yeah, right.
No, that's not a bad idea.
Urban planning, I think, is going to be another piece that you're going to see where this.
What do you mean by urban planning?
So when cities are looking to expand, like Tampa, where do you put that? Where's the best infrastructure? Where should the next neighborhood?
Or if you're living in our homes, like how do I get the most houses on this plot? I know they have that kind of information now, but
the AI is going to be able to test the infrastructure, test the water system, test the electrical systems, and things like that because it knows what's available, and it'll say yes, you can put 100 houses in here without any major upgrades to the electrical grid. You can do it without upgrading the solar systems. But if you put 100 homes over here, it's going to cost you extra money, and it's going to put the city in them. And so with governmental urban planning, with engineering, with architecture, I see it going pretty poorly. For architects.
But Chris, I see it kind of like what I said with coding earlier. I think if you're a good civil engineer and you have a great company and you guys are already doing great work, I think this will make you guys better. I don't know that it'll eliminate you, but
It'll eliminate like CAD techs, or designers. But the civil engineers themselves, they still have to review the plans. They got to stamp it, sign it, send it into the DOT for
it's
review.
the underlings.
Yeah.
It's the guys doing the actual boots on the ground work that are gonna be changed.
I think the people that need to be the most worried are these. And I've always said, I don't mean any slights to anyone who listens to this. That's a social media manager.
Oh God! Yeah.
But the last real job I had. They hired a social media manager, and she literally sat on social media all day and watched for hashtags about the company, and then replied, "Sorry, oh that's funny, oh LOL, thanks for." And then it came Hootsuite where they combined all your shit into one. But like that job's got to be gone next week, next month. Right?
It's already gone.
If you do that shit right now, right? I mean, you tell ChatGPT, we are a projector company. We sell projectors to churches and companies, and these are our social media accounts. It's like watch for all of our hashtags and reply to everybody.
Yeah, but
somebody's got to build that.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Somebody's
because
gonna
at least there has to be someone's got to build that in. They have to create the content and post it, right?
Correct.
Because I was doing that and I was like, I'm doing the dumbest shit in the world because I'm just writing something, posting pictures, and then scheduling it through heropost.io.
Right.
I was like, this could be done by a computer. There's no reason for me to do it. They can identify a good picture and then create the post, whatever the regulations are for the platform, because Twitter has 280 characters or something like that. LinkedIn only lets you post 7 photos. Instagram only lets you post 10.
Yeah.
It's like
You said this goes live in 2 weeks? So we have 2 weeks to open this company and build this engine before we just gave somebody $1 million
this was
idea.
a
Because the
great
fact
idea.
is, I mean, you could literally, if you're a programmer, you could create that program
ChatGPT
using
can.
ChatGPT.
Right.
and
Just get an
launch that way
engineer
and
to seal.
quite
No, but I think-
literally bang, it's done. And you are an AI based social media manager.
So Dave, can you code that through ChatGPT?
I'm sure I could.
Can you do it in the next week and a half? Because we've got 10 days.
ChatGPT can do it in a matter of
But I
minutes,
think if you're
right?
at the top of your game, like with anything else, like social media managers, I think like for some company and you hate your job and you do that shell day, you're gonna be gone, right? There's no way. But if you look at like Wendy's as a good example, I don't follow a lot of accounts. I don't.
They're
know.
funny.
But their whole thing is to burn your company. And there's companies that actually ask you, like, hey, burn our company, and then they will. So whoever's running that is really good at what they do. So the top percent of any industry is not going to go anywhere.
going anywhere, right.
But if you just suck and you fucking mail it in every day and you punch the clock and you, thanks for the tweet, we appreciate your feedback, you're going to be gone, man. You're going to be fucking gone.
And do you guys think with even fast food, like thinking about jobs that are going to be eliminated, they're already making it like self-autonomous
Robots.
The robotic,
Yeah,
McDonald's.
So I mean, how many other retail stores can go completely robotic? And I mean, that's a big chunk.
I think the next one you see is going to be big box stocking.
Like
box
Walmart just
stocking.
stocking and
Well,
stuff.
how long before you go to Old Navy and it's just a fucking vending machine with the T-shirts? Like,
Well, yeah,
how
exactly.
long
I mean-
until the whole wall's a vending machine and they not only do big box stocking, but there's not even a cashier.
No, you
Well, I
just
mean,
scan
think
your
about
phone.
it. Think about the Amazon warehouses and how much the robotics work in there,
Sure.
and everything is planned, it's quadded, and everything like that. You go into the big box stores, the Sam's, the Costco's, the BJ's of all the world, and I love BJ's. I just want to say that out loud right now. I love BJ's.
But his favorite sporting good is Dick's. He really likes
I do love Dick's.
He hates friggin' the sports
I love the
authority.
big dicks that's over on. But you look at those, and they are, if they're planogrammed out and truly mapped out by software, the forklifts, the stocking programs, everything literally could be done by robotics the same way.
I mean, we got the self checkouts now. I mean,
Well, bro, listen to robotics though.
Without asking for tips, I love
Have
it.
you guys been have you guys ever been to one of the WalMarts where the robot is cleaning the floors?
No, and that's
Oh, yeah.
what I was
Bro,
going to ask.
I tried to get run over by the thing because I'm like, I'm gonna
can't- it
call
won't.
hashtag for the people, and Morgan and I are, dude, I tried to get this robot to run me over.
Won't happen.
I tried to walk behind it thinking it would leave a wet spot. Giggity. It did not. It won't.
giggity.
You can't get the Walmart robot to knock you over if you try.
Yeah.
I tried.
It's amazing technology.
Dude, but it's crazy because they have all these self checkout, at Walmart, Publix, and I mean, there's just like 3 or 4 people just standing there. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is
Loss prevention.
if you talk to Publix hasn't fired anybody over the self checkouts. And I don't know that Walmart has either, because now you're just shifting people from checkout registers to something else.
Well, they're doing the freaking. My wife goes to Whole Foods and she's in the middle of the day and there's no other customers there, but she's getting run over by people doing the cart delivery and all this pre-checkout.
Instacart and
So
things
yeah,
like
so they're
that.
not running the register anymore. To Chris's point, they're not running the register anymore. Now they're running around with a bucket getting all the online orders.
Well, have you heard what they tried to do at a couple stores? Is have an RFID
Sure.
scanner.
They have it at
Sam's.
Sam's.
Sam's
has it
has
now.
Sam's
so that
has
you
a
just
quick
put it in
checkout.
the cart and just walk,
You walk
out,
right through it.
and it charges your card.
It's got a double
right?
scan. Yeah, if you have your account logged in and with your payment,
Yeah.
it charges your shit.
And that's coming. That's probably the next step for all major retailers when it comes to grocery stores.
Well, Amazon had
Walmarts
that
and all those
grocery
kinds
store
of
up in
things.
the Northwest.
Yeah, but they
did
closed it down.
Yeah, it was tough because they were trying to use the cart like as a scanner. So when you put something in your cart, it scans on the way in.
yeah.
And if you said, well, shit, I don't want those. I want the other one.
That was the wrong
So-
way to go about it. The way Sam's is doing it, it's checkout at the register.
Yeah, add everything you want to the cart. And then when the cart's leaving, it scans the cart.
So McDonald's has the first fully autonomous store.
I thought it was Taco Bell.
No, it was McDonald's. It has the first fully autonomous store. Remember, because their stock jumped up.
Oh yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I mean,
'Cause- so I mean, really, what we're going to see is
30 years ago, and it was half autonomous at that point.
yeah, and now there's no employees in there, right? So I mean, if that's the case, I think what AI is doing is eliminating all fast food jobs.
Well, that's it
essentially,
too.
because you don't
But
need
Sean,
someone to manage it.
But like, look, so if you look at McDonald's,
There's no
right, or any
employees.
fast food restaurant, it's really bad about McDonald's. But like,
I like McDonald's.
you used to go to the register and you'd order and they'd fuck it up and you'd get mad and then they're like, hey, this thing has mayonnaise
ain't
all
gonna
over
fuck
it.
it up.
And then
Yeah,
the lady at the
computer's not
front
gonna
would say,
fuck it up.
I didn't fuck it up. The cook did. And the cook would say, no, you fucked it up. And it's a bunch of fuck up blame. So now, Chris and I did go into Taco Bell the other day we hadn't been there forever. And
4 people working.
Well, no, they ignored us. And I was like, why are they ignoring us? Well, they had
Put in our
touchpads
own
there.
order. Yeah.
But I like those. My mom's like, I'm never self-checkout. I'm like, I only want to self-checkout because the lady at Walmart's not going to say anything to me anyway of value. And I don't really buy a lot. So I know that changes full cart versus quick
3
buy.
items,
But
yeah.
to that point, so now if I go to Taco Bell and I go to the screen and order it and mess it up, that's on me, right?
Yep.
But the only other opportunity for them to fuck it up is the person who makes it.
Right.
But when
And
a robot,
if you do that,
when a
it will do
robot
away
makes
with
it,
that.
and like, have you ever seen those? Been to fast food drive-through, and you see them, the machine fills up the soda.
Yeah.
It's going to do that with sandwiches. It's going to slide the bun over. The patty's going to hit. The cheese is going to hit. It's going to drop through the squirt bottles, and now the only opportunity for it to screw up is gone. So I order it through a machine. A machine makes it. And
it
then
delivers
it
it to you. And you know what Wendy's is doing now too? They're trying to come up with a delivery system that, you know how you park at a spot and someone comes out and hands it to you? They're trying to eliminate that. So they're trying to come up with some kind of like bank tubes that go underground, pop up right to your, because they're having a lot of issues with like Uber Eats and DoorDash where they're having to, take the time to walk out there and do that. So, I mean, look, they're trying to automate everything in fast food.
Everything.
Well,
I mean, there's probably not.
What it's going to come down to is cost. I like to use the idea of electric cars and hybrids because it goes back to the 1970s, which people don't realize. So hybrid technology has been around since the end of World War II. The U-boats and original submarines were hybrids they were diesel engines with batteries. And you would charge the batteries off the diesel engine, then you'd run silent by using the batteries. They were the first hybrids in the world.
No shit.
So we've been using that technology for a very, very long time. But for the longest time, the automotive industry was kind of iffy on it. We don't know how to make it work. We don't know if it's going to work right. So, a couple of companies, including Toyota and Honda and a couple of the others that made their first hybrids that came out with the original Priuses and things like that, they figured out a way to make it work. And they figured out a way to make it work for a long period of time. But the technology was god-awful expensive.
Sure.
Because they were the first people to do it. But now, with the advent of electric cars, if you want just a hybrid, a Prius, a Volt, or something that that's got the gas engine and the battery, they're god-awful. They're almost as cheap as the gas engine itself.
Yeah. You have one, right?
I do. Yeah. And I've been driving Priuses and hybrids for the last 20 years. But when it comes down, it's the same thing. Any technology that comes out of this with AI, the fast food technology, the robotics, the things like this, you're only going to see it in certain places while it's god-awful expensive. But the more popular it becomes, the more manufacturers of the robotics, the more manufacturers of the product that makes that next step available, the price comes down and things become.
Well, the fryer,
it's everywhere.
Right?
Yeah.
The fryer that drops its own fries with a timer, then pulls them out and dumps them.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say for conversation that costs $20,000. You're like, well, shit, I can just pay that guy $7 an hour, $10 an hour to do it.
Right.
But at some point, you add it up and you go, okay,
Over time.
if
Over
that
a
robot
period
asks,
of 1 year. Yeah.
right? So to that point, not just fast food, but if you guys been to Glory Days lately.
Glory holes?
Glory holes. The guy that runs that was saying he can't hire hostesses because it's way too expensive and they never show up and all that shit.
It really doesn't make sense to.
You don't
in my
need one.
opinion.
They have a robot that they offer now that will take people to open tables. So
Wait,
the robot,
what?
The
Oh,
robot.
yeah.
But listen to
100%.
this.
Wow.
It's so expensive, right? So the robot company said the robot will go through the first day and map out the restaurant, know where all the tables are. You walk in, you say,
like
"Hey,
your
I'm here
vacuum.
for dinner," and it runs you to your table. But it's so expensive. So what that company did was they added shelves inside the robot body to have it also run food. So as it seats one table, it runs back to the kitchen. They put the food
saw
on,
that one
and it
too.
brings you to. So there's that debate of, well, now I'm at a fancy restaurant, and the fucking robot brought me and my wife our dinner. But
And Chris made a good point. If it's got a vacuumer, it can sweep too. So while it's rolling through the restaurant, it's always
It's
it
sucking
never
in
calls in
those-
sick.
Yeah.
It's never
Yeah,
late.
it's
It might
never
break
late.
down. It might need an oil change, but it's not going to call in sick. It's not.
But
gonna,
here comes that we go back to the employment question. So yes, you're going to lose servers. Yes, you're going to lose hostesses and those entry level jobs and those things that all of our college kids and high school kids are good at. But when it comes down to it, we're still going to need people to build the robots. We're going to need them to maintain the robots. We're going to need a
Program
company
them.
to go out and program
What
to sell.
makes you think that the AI won't be able to build the robot and also program the robot?
It's still going to require human intervention and human oversight when it comes down to it.
But here's
Just
the-
like
but
the
here's
auto
going to be
industry.
less people, though.
But here's the big
overall,
dilemma,
in my
right? It's not
opinion.
They said the same thing at the auto industry and
No, but
in the
listen.
factories that build the cars. The
Listen,
fact
dude,
is that there's still just as many employees that are in the factory at any given moment.
Fact check GPT.
In fact,
because
listen. Here's a debate, right? Like for the cash registers, and they said, well, we eliminated 3 cashiers, but there's someone programming. That's always been my argument. I love to tell mom, well, there's a programmer. Well, if the programmer makes $200,000 a year, and the 3 cashiers each made 30, and so
did you really make out?
But also they say, well, then those cashiers should just learn how to code. Well, that's easier said than done, right?
did.
So I don't have the skill set to code, so I'm ringing up these freaking groceries, and now that job's gone. So just learn how to fly a drone or program a drone or do Google Map API. People are like, I don't even know what the fuck that is.
Right.
So I get it. I get the idea that just like anything else, you can eliminate 5 jobs with one. You only got to worry about one guy, right? So
But Yeah, where the effect I think you're going to see that's going to be the danger factor for society as far as the job side is the entry level. It's the
Right,
It's
that's
the
exactly
first
right.
job. The kid who goes out and gets their first job when he's 15 years old because he needs to help his family make enough money. It's the college kids that need a job. I mean, I'm sorry, but I love my bartenders to death. But a robot could do that job.
Dude, I was literally going to bring that up before you did.
robot
Yeah,
could
but
do
they
that job.
can't wear a
And
low
probably-
top crown.
you can't.
They come up to you and be like, hey,
I
Bubba,
disagree.
you know
You've
what
not
I'm
seen
saying?
the right Japanese websites as far as robots go.
No, I was literally going to bring that up. At the last restaurant show in Vegas, they had a mixology robot. It's just one big fucking arm, and all the ingredients are there. And you would think down the road, like with the soda gun, at some point the liquor will come through the arm. But this one actually got the bottles, poured it, a perfect pour every time.
It never steals
Shook
liquor.
it up.
Never steals liquor.
It never sticks, and it doesn't. And like, so the bartenders usually in a restaurant make the most money, right? They do
And
a
then-
revenue share, they do a tip share, and now if a restaurant's like, hey, you know what? Let's put this robot in there for $20,000.
Now you can charge more for the drinks because the people don't have to
Consistent
tip.
drinks, though, right?
I was
If you
gonna
have
say that.
Yeah.
Now I don't have to tip $3 on a $5 to feel good about myself. I don't have to tip the $2-3 on a $5 drink.
I can
so
spend
I
more
can charge
money.
you $6 for the drink. The restaurant makes more money. You know, I mean, it's one of those.
Well, the
it's
servers don't have to
crazy.
tip out, and we don't have to go to the models of a restaurant, but the bartenders make money from tips. No,
Tip
how, like how
outs,
the
yeah.
business model works, and then normally the servers will tip the bartenders,
Yep.
and the server's like, screw it, man, I tap a button and get this drink. I mean, it can come back to a vending machine. Your server needs 2 margaritas, presses 2 margaritas and holds the glass there, and the margaritas come out.
I agree with that, but with with the bartending, being at the bar, it's all about the social. The bartender does add a little bit of social.
I agree.
I agree. Depending on where you're at.
What
I mean,
bar? Yeah, it depends on the
depending
bar.
where you're at.
If you're at a hotel bar, you don't care about
Yeah, you don't
socializing with the guy
care,
behind the
no.
hotel bar. If
No.
you're at
Hooters.
I mean, if you're Hooters.
What's that place?
Yeah. What do they serve there?
I wanted to open
Very large breasts.
I always thought about opening a restaurant that was called Donkeys instead. And it's just girls
Big
with
old
big butts.
butts.
And they walk up to the table backwards. Like they greet you backwards and they only look over their shoulders.
Guys, we're about to wrap it up. So tell me a little bit of your last thoughts, little bits of, knowledge to our audience that you can give them real quick.
Start. If you're young, start learning how to code. If you're old, start learning how to code. When it comes down to it, the people that are going to have jobs going forward once this thing really starts going are the people that can program and build this stuff.
Yeah, and I would think if you're feeling doomed by the whole thing, try to find a way for it to enhance whatever your business is. I mean, you guys have the photography business, and I told you guys, find ways to have it help advertise to get you above the other photographers in the area. Just find ways to have it enhance instead of feeling doomed by it.
Yep.
How can I make it work better for me, make me more productive, which actually will make me more money?
How can I use it to an advantage?
Yeah.
No, and I appreciate you guys being on the show. This was a really fun one. I know our audience is going to love it. If you do like this show, like, comment, or ask us any questions.
Subscribe.
And thank you for coming by.
Thank you guys for
It was a
having us.
pleasure. Thanks.
Peace.